How are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you, Meboni?
I'm doing great as well.
Yeah.
I have my co-host with me in the studio. His name is Stable Steps, and it's such a pleasure to have you on the line. We appreciate you taking your time to come have this interaction with us, Ndati.
It is my pleasure too, man.
And without wasting any time, Ndati, please tell us a little bit about you as the author before we even get into your book, The Recoil.
Okay, Bothata Silase is an active member of Lesotho Defense Force who is stationed at Major Mitalana Air Base. I'm also a published author, an international one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a ghostwriter, I'm an international speaker, and a speech writer.
You are a man who wears a lot of hats, I can tell.
I understand.
Well, the one book that has brought us together today is The Recoil. Tell us a little bit about that. And also, before you even get into it, I want to ask you this question. Is this your story, or is it just a fictional story?
It's a fictitious story.
Okay.
It's a fictitious story. During my days at the National University of Lesotho, we saw a number of people failing to obtain their qualifications there. Some of the problems they inherited there are recorded in the book, so that people who are aspiring to go to varsity, to higher institutions to do their qualifications could realize some of the problems that they may face while they are pursuing their studies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So basically, the story, The Recoil, what exactly inspired it?
It was inspired by certain realities that I saw when I was at NOW, because I wrote it to create an awareness to the youth not in Lesotho only, but to the whole world, because whatever challenges that the youth are facing in Lesotho, even in Canada, in the United States, in China, those kind of challenges that Masilo Mukwena, who is the main character in the book, is succumbed to, are the challenges that every other youth come across when he or she tries to pursue education on the level of higher learning and all that. Yes.
So let's talk to someone who hasn't had the opportunity to get hold of The Recoil. What can they expect out of the book?
Yes, the Recoil follows the life of a young man by the name of Masilo Mukwena, whom after completion of his POC certificate then decides to go to the National University of Lesotho to pursue his studies with BSc Computer Science. During his first year then, he was succumbed to a lot of peer pressure, and he ended up committing a series of crimes. Then after doing the first year, then he failed the first year, and then he so obtained the idea that I should go back and sit at home while I cannot go back to school, because we know that most of us in our country cannot sponsor for ourselves for the education that we attain at higher institutions. So then he went at home, sat down, then decided to look for a job. Then that is when he saw an advert at one of the renowned radios of our country. Then he applied for the work at Lesotho Defense Force. Then, you know, when you apply for recruitment, there is this process they call the vetting process, whereby the military intelligence would go to your place of origin, then go ask people from your village, who is Bonnie? Is she somebody of good integrity and all that? Then they did that, and nothing came to light because some of the crimes that he did at the National University of Lesotho had not yet come to light. So when he was absorbed into the army, then he went for training, he finished the training, then the command of LDF was impressed by his meritorious service. Then subsequently he was sent to India to attend a cadet course. Then later on he came back and he was promoted from the rank of private to that of second lieutenant. But suffice it to say, his malicious crimes that he did at National University of Lesotho came to light, and they impacted on him significantly.
Wow.
That is why the book is called The Recoil. Yes.
As I'm listening to you break it down to us and for our listeners, I love the fact that this story sounds so real. We all can relate to it. This is something that can happen to Mwana Mosotho out there, you know. So
that is very true.
I don't know about you, Stable Steps. What do you think?
Absolutely, yes. I was about to ask about the title, which is The Recoil, the inspiration behind. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Because the thing that actually rang in my mind was like, the day that Masilo is in the army. So obviously that would definitely just ring in my mind like, okay, that should be the recoil. But anyway, I still have a question for you. I don't know. I can see that you're actually capable of doing a lot of things, especially in the literary sector. I can see that you are very good at that. When did you discover that you are good at all these things?
I discovered that I was good in writing back in my days when I was still at high school, at high school in Riribe. But then I couldn't pursue with the literature qualification because, you know, when you come from a family whereby people are all science people, then you follow the trend. That is what happened to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm actually asking this question is because we can see how hard it is right now in our country with a lot of people, of course, seeking employment out there. Yeah. Most of them, you find that they have some skills that they cannot pursue just because maybe they don't have any startup capital or inspiration. So people like you actually inspire a lot of people to actually jump into some of these things that they can do that can actually just set them apart from the rest and, of course, give them proper recognition around the world.
That is definitely true. Now, speaking of you being an inspiration, I want us to talk about the success that the Recoil has seen. I mean, I saw 3 and a lot of zeros. That's how many copies you've sold. I mean, tell us about the success. Yes.
It has sold a lot of copies, and it's still a shock to me because I never thought it would be a story that people would love so much because I just wrote it. I was still coming to my job at Lesotho Defense Force Air Wing. Then during my spare time, I would write, call my 2 friends, that is Lesole Mekete and Bokan James Magoko, and say, what can you say about this? Then they said, okay, write maybe 2 more paragraphs, then we'll comment on this. Then to a point whereby I realized, okay, this should be a book. Then that is when I told myself, okay, let me just go for publishing and all that.
All right. Now, I have a final question for you, Masilo. The last question is, how long did it take you to actually finish the Recoil? Because I feel like this could be very, very, very imperative to somebody who wants to jump into writing out there. You find that maybe he's just written 1 line today, and then after 3 weeks he writes 2 more lines, and he feels like, you know what, I'm actually walking at a very slow pace. How long did it take you?
It took me about something like 6 months.
6
because
months.
I started writing in January. I first started writing the manuscript of the Recoil in January 2016, then finished it in June. And it took me 6 months
Wow. That's amazing spit. That's just remarkable spit, because we've had the pleasure of having some other authors in the studio, and they will tell they talk about years, So that's incredible spit right there. Now, we know that the Recoil is not your only work. Tell us about your other books.
First of all, let me say, after the Recoil sold so many copies on international platforms, then I got an invitation. It was just something like two months ago, somewhere in August, when I got an invitation to represent Lesotho as an appointee at the Commonwealth Writers Competition.
Wow.
We are supposed to write a short story that comprises of words between 2,000 and 5,000 words. So I've already finished writing that short story. So I've given it. There is one lady who is an international editor in our country by the name of Kennedy Silase. Then I gave it to her to do the proofreading and a piece of editing before I submit it to the Commonwealth Writers Board, so that they could put it under scrutiny. So the winners will be announced on the 1st of May 2021.
Good luck to you, and congratulations, man, for the nomination. Congratulations and good luck to you. We have no doubt that you're going to represent us as a country very well over there.
Yes. So then my story that I'm going to submit, because the deadline is on the 30th of this month at 23:59 at all time zone. So then I will have to submit my story by that date. So maybe by the end of this week I will have submitted it, because she told me that she is already at the last limb of editing it and all that.
We will definitely link up with you and find out how it went.
Yes.
I'm afraid time is not on our side, but questions keeps on just bombarding my mind just like that.
You can go on and ask. We still have a few more minutes.
Yes. Some of these questions can be very helpful to our listeners. Like the power of.
So, there are other two books that I'm still writing, which I should have completed by the end of by December. Then. The other one is called The Recoil 2 Days of the Haunting Past, which is the continuation of
The Recoil.
The Recoil.
Okay.
Because The Recoil is the cliffhanger. Then it's a flashback cliffhanger that leaves people like, what happened to Masilo Mugwena after the police encompassed this whole yard, then all that. So it starts, the Recoil 2 Days of the Haunting Past starts there, then continues. Then he goes to the High Court, then he's confronted with the civil authorities and the military authorities. It's more action-packed and all that.
All right. Let me just ask my final question, then, Masilo. I'm not going to ask any more questions after this one.
Yes,
the last question is actually based on the power of collaboration. I just want you to actually add something on that. The power of collaboration in professional writing. The question actually just came up because you were talking about, writing your story, and then, of course, sharing it with somebody who's going to be helping you with the editing. So that's why it actually just popped up, like the power of collaboration in professional writing, because I had a lot of people who want to do almost everything. Yes, can you just let us know how important that is in professional writing?
It's very important. Let me tell you one thing. I have a literacy agent in the United States of America. The gentleman, he's an intellectual by the name of Thomas Michael Kilabasinki. He's my agent, because let me tell you and let me assure you that you cannot do so well in books if you don't have a literacy agent, because you cannot talk to a traditional publisher solely like that. You have to have somebody who has certain credentials so that he can present you before the publisher and all that. So When it comes to writing, a lot of things like, first of all, you have to have an editor, you have to have somebody who would design covers for you, somebody who would design, I'm sure all of you have realized that in books, the formatting will be in a certain way. Like,
yes,
let's take for an example, the format that would be used would be like something like 12 times New Roman. If that is to be consistent throughout the book, then you have somebody to do that for you, because like the line spacing, everything, then to make your work to look more legit, more thoroughgoing, then somebody you have to work with people so that your work can be topical, in a sense that everybody would be like, no, this is a nice book from the cover to the inside.
Time is no longer on our side, unfortunately, and we just want to find out from you any upcoming projects. Of course, we've heard about the Recoil 2 and the Commonwealth competition, you being appointed. Any other upcoming projects that Basotho can look forward to?
Yes, I'm still writing another book. It's a memoir. That one is not a novel. It's a memoir about one of the renowned lawyers in our country, the gentleman by the name of Julius Mutari. I'm still writing a memoir about him. The book is called Against All Odds. It tells people about his life from childhood to today's date, how he survived some of the challenges that he encountered in his life, to a point whereby he's a celebrated lawyer.
Wow.
So another thing, I've signed with another company in Botswana that sells books online. And then there is this other one which I was still talking to. It was a day before yesterday. That one is from Nigeria. There are still efforts that I'm still trying to do with the people of Rwanda and all that. So there are a lot of efforts that one needs to take into consideration, because in the real world, someone once said, in the real world, it's a cutthroat competition whereby throats are literally cut. So you have to push yourself to the limit so that people can realize you in this life.
Wow. Bothata Silase, we really, really appreciate you taking your time, having this conversation with us right here on the Heartbeat of the Kingdom. And we just wish you all the best when it comes to your future endeavors. We have absolutely no doubt that you're going to be doing very well for yourself out there. Thank you very much and have yourself a great day.
Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure having me on Ultimate FM.
Thank you, Ndate. And of course, our ultimate listeners, just like that, we're done and dusted.